It feels so good to be back. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily, or La Movie Mija. I'm a part-time filmmaker, full-time movie lover, and this is my review of Anora. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. I certainly did, and thank you so much for your grace as I took a little bit of time off. I made a lot of cookies. I ate a lot of cookies, tamales, pozole. I ate a lot. I made a lot and I ate a lot. I also watched a lot of movies and had a really great time with my family. I was so ready to jump back into making more reviews once I got back. However, I live in Los Angeles, and if you don't know, Los Angeles has been through a very harrowing experience with the wildfires that are occurring all around me. Fortunately, I am safe. I'm very lucky. My family is safe as well. The best way that you can support me is by supporting my channel, liking this video, subscribing to me here, sending this video to a friend. That would mean the world to me. I am a freelance worker here in Los Angeles, and my work has been affected, but I am fortunate to be okay for now. I will include some resources for people who are in need of more immediate support. So make sure you check out the link in my description to help out other Angelinos who do need your help, whether that be monetary donations, whether it just be spreading the word, whether it be like actual supplies, resources, you name it. There's a lot of different ways that you can show up for the city of Los Angeles right now. I'm not gonna lie, the wildfires have truly affected me in a way of just like bearing witness to the destruction, and like, you know, we all share the same air, we all are witnessing the same sky, and it's hard to not be affected by seeing the level of destruction that has taken place. But one thing that keeps me going, one thing that makes me excited to just be on this earth and be here in this time with you is movies. Like, I'm really passionate about the art of movies, and I'm really excited to talk to you about this movie today. So without further ado, let's get into Anora. Anora, a young woman from Brooklyn, gets her chance at a Cinderella story when she meets and marries the son of an oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as the parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. The film is directed by Sean Baker, and it stars Mikey, Madison, Yuriy, Borisov, Mark Eydelsteyn, and Karagulian. Now, this film has already garnered a lot of praise and critical acclaim. It won the top prize at the Cannes Film Festival, and it is making a star out of everybody involved, especially Mikey Madison, who is the lead Anora, and the filmmaker Sean Baker. In his acceptance speech at the Cannes Film Festival, Sean Baker said that this is a award that he wanted to win in his lifetime. Like, this is what he'd been working towards, and the fact that he won it, he's kind of at a loss of what to do now. I mean, I bet he'll continue making movies, and if you're familiar with his work, it's actually interesting because I feel like Anora is a little bit of a departure, but also an evolution of his previous works. Sean Baker typically makes films that center around people on the fringes of society, be it sex workers, people living in poverty, and that is a focus of his films. He usually takes like this little bit of a distance approach, kind of documentary style, where we're not going into the interiority of a character in a traditional way. However, there is so much richness in the worlds that he creates that there is so much interiority in the characters that you see. One of the hallmarks of a Sean Baker film is that really true to life. Like, he is shooting on location. A lot of times, like, there are scenes that are improvised with the actors, and they're even improvised with like regular people that are like interacting with the set, which brings like this vitality and this vivaciousness to the film that feels so real. One of the most praised things about this film, and something that I really enjoyed, is just the realistic line delivery. And Mikey Madison's name has been thrown around a lot this award season for good reason. And one of those reasons is the work that she put into this role. And you can see it very evidently in her portrayal of Anora, or Annie as she prefers to go by in the film. Annie is a stripper. She is tough. She's from Brooklyn. And this, not only did she nail this Brooklyn accent, she also did a lot of work to understand her physical role as a stripper. Not only is she dancing, is she performing, is she doing things that, let's just say, I wish there would have been an intimacy coordinator around for. But she's also like having to do a lot of physical like fight sequences. There is a whole slapstick section of this movie that requires a lot of physical comedy. You have traditional henchmen, you have like zany moments, and for the most part throughout this film, I felt like I was being jostled around, and I felt like this underlying tension, and I realized it was because of me. because I've been conditioned to see genre films like this where you have someone on the fringes of society. And in this case, it's Annie as a stripper. She is living like in an impoverished state. She is working really hard for the life that she has. And then you have these Russian oligarchs and their like bodyguards and these essentially henchmen show up with their thick Russian accents. In any other circumstance, you'd have powerful families sending henchmen and this like stripper who is like this small little girl combined. It would be a violent scenario. That seems like an equation for violence and guns and things not ending well. However, this film does an amazing job of never giving you what you think you are gonna get. There is a lot of genre bending, but there is a lot of true to genre-ness happening in this film. There is this like electric rom-com feeling in the first act. Then we move into this like zany physical comedy, like wild goose chase in the second. Then we grow into this pivotal like emotional ending that just, when you get there, it's like a relief, but it's also just a wave of dread, sadness that washes over you. The camera work in this film is so exquisite. It is mostly handheld, and it's with a cinematographer that Sean Baker has worked a lot with. And so they have really this like shorthand that you can see translated to the big screen. Love how the handheld nature of the film, the use of like real life people in the background kind of element, as well as the improvisation, it just adds this layer of reality. Even though we have this pounding like diegetic and non-diegetic music, you have this wild color palettes. It's so beautifully like lit, and the color grading is just beautiful, but all of it feels really real and it feels really tangible. As far as performances go, again, Mikey Madison is just exquisite. There's a naturalistic quality to her line delivery, is definitely putting a lot of effort into crafting this character, and she is doing a lot in this movie. We also have the Igor and Vanya and Toros characters, and their actors are all so great. I really enjoyed like the levity that they bring to this film and the characterization of all of these people. Like they all feel more real, as like equally real but equally zany and comedic, which I feel like is a really fine line to walk, but they do so very well in the film. As far as pacing, I feel like the first act was incredible, and then the second act kind of like carried on a little too long for me. That's when we get into the more wild goose chase section of the film, and then we get to the ending, and I really enjoyed the ending of this film. We won't talk about that just yet. Let's just say while I was watching this film, I kept finding myself wanting to put this film in a box. I kept wanting to say like, oh, it's a rom-com. Oh, it's this like comedy. And then it goes somewhere that I didn't expect. And for some people, I think that ending is going to feel abrupt. It's going to feel disconnected. It's going to feel like it doesn't belong with the rest of the film. But for me, I felt like the ending was this incredible like crystallization of understanding. I finally was able to comprehend what this movie was trying to be. And instead of like sitting there and trying to critique it or like find my way through it, I should have just relaxed and let myself experience it, because by the time you get to the end, I feel like you'll fully understand. You just have to trust the ride on this one. Overall, I think this film is something to experience. I think that's something like you need to let go of your inhibitions. You need to let go of your preconceived notions of what you think this movie is going to be. And even while you're watching it, don't try to anticipate where it's going to go, because it's going to take away the fun of just being in this ride with Anora. She is the star of the show. She is the moment. She is an icon. And whether you come out liking the movie or not, I feel like this entire experience, this package, this art that they created together is truly unique and deserves your time and energy. I hope that makes sense, but yes, I would recommend this movie. You should check it out. If you've seen the movie, the following lyrics are going to really be jarring for you, so brace yourselves. You don't have to lie to girls. If they like you, they'll just lie to themselves. That is a lyric from the song Lie to Girls from Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet album, and it is savage. And for me, this is the epitome of what Annie is trying to do with Vanya in the film. Let's talk about the movie and what I think it is. And to do that, we need to start with the ending. The ending, we have Igor and Annie in the car. Igor has just given the ring back to Annie, the wedding ring that Vanya had given to her, that she was told that she needed to give back to his mother. It was the symbol of their marriage. It's also like a big piece of jewelry, 3 carats. It's not only a monetary gift, but it is a symbol of Igor being the only person throughout this entire film who really paid attention to her, who really listened to her. I don't think it's just because he thought she was beautiful and that he liked her. That's definitely evident. He does like her. He's paying attention to her. That's really cute. But I think beyond that, it's because they are from a similar economic class. They've both had to work hard for what they have. They also share a connection over their grandmothers. Anora learned Russian from her grandma. Igor is taking care of his grandma. He also reveals a lot about himself and his character in the way that he talks about his car. And there's a lot of different instances throughout the film where he chooses to ask Anora a question or engage with her, or even when he sticks up for her, tells Vanya's mom that he owes her an apology because, oh my God, that kid. We're not there yet. But anyway, he makes me so mad, which I think is a mark of a good character. But back to Igor, he gives her the ring and Annie decides that she wants to have intercourse with him and she climbs on top of him. And a lot of people are reading that as like, because she's a stripper or a sex worker, like that's the only way that she knows how to like pay him back is to offer her body. But for me, I don't know, that doesn't feel quite right. What I gathered from that scene is that it is a struggle of power. And there's this reoccurring theme of power and control throughout the film. In that final scene, Annie is getting her power taken away from her because she has been put in a vulnerable position where someone is showing that they are seeing her and she feels like her power is being taken away. How can someone be more powerful than me in this moment? By seeing me in this way, by giving me my ring back, by listening to me and like being there for me in a way throughout this entire like crazy 48 hours. I mean, like, what is the entire length of their experiences together? Like a week and a half? That is insane. So she decides to take back her power by climbing on top of him. Like one of the ways that she exhibits power throughout this film is through her body. And it's not just by like through the vein of sex. She exhibits power in the way that she carries herself, the way she dresses herself, the way she presents herself. She has a lot of power and control in her workspace and she talks very confidently. She talks a little differently in her workspace than she does with like, let's say her sister. She has a different voice that she puts on for Vanya when she is like on the clock versus when they get married. And she is then trying to like get him to step up and be a man, which he just doesn't. He makes me so mad. So back to the car scene, she climbs on top of him to assert control over the situation. And then we see that battle of control continue. Then Igor is trying to kiss her. And in that moment, there's again that crossing the boundary of vulnerability. She does not want to be vulnerable with him. She is trying to assert her control, her power over him in this moment because he is showing her the man that he could be. And she is feeling too much from that. She just needs to take back her power. So when she finally breaks down in that scene and just crumbles into his arms, it is such a powerful moment. She's no longer trying to be the person in power. She's been fighting. She's been on the front lines of whatever this mess with Vanya has been for a week and a half, right? She has been trying to assert herself and get the happy ending that she wants. In that moment in the hotel room in Vegas, when Vanya is proposing this idea of marriage to her, for the most part, the camera stays on Anora's face and we are with her watching her thought process as she is analyzing the risks and the rewards of what he's proposing, the madness of what he is saying. She is trying to assess, is this man for real? Can this man actually give me everything I ever wanted? She wants to believe it. She wants to believe it. She wants to believe it so bad that she is telling him, even as they're climbing into the private plane to go to Vegas to get the marriage annulled, Vanya, be a man, stick up to your mother. that reoccurring theme of power and control is happening all throughout the film. It's not the fact that Vanya broke her heart. It's the fact that she allowed herself to buy into the fantasy despite knowing better, despite knowing men like Vanya, despite all of her other instincts that she has as a stripper, as a woman who is working in a field that is, notoriously dangerous for women. She, against her better judgments, let herself step into this fantasy. And the real crux of it all is that neither of them had any real power to begin with, because the real power came from Vanya's parents. They're the ones who had the real power. They're the ones who were able to send these henchmen who asserted their power over her in the house, essentially kidnapped her. Vanya, he definitely sees this as all a game. He never saw Anora as a person. He just saw her in the Bad Bunny song he was like a tourist in her life. He was like, I'm gonna have my fun. I don't care about the ramifications or the consequences that happen for you from this experience. It doesn't mean anything to me. Throughout the film, Anora is being told that she is less than. She is always being taken down a peg because of her line of work. You see this in the way that the mother treats her. Vanya's mother not only treats her badly because she's a stripper, but also because her Russian's not great. So there's instances in which this rich, ultra mega rich class is looking down on her, saying that you are not on our level, and using that class disparity as a way to justify the way that they treat her in this film. Initial critique that bubbled up for me was, this didn't really teach me anything new about class disparity. I've seen many movies tackle this subject. I watch a lot of Gossip Girl, and it has primed me to be suspicious of people like Ivan/Vanya and his parents. They can use money to treat people less than. However, I have since come to appreciate the idea of just being with Anora through this experience. The film is entertaining. The film is really beautifully shot, and we are with this person and experiencing this roller coaster of emotions through her point of view for the entire runtime. At the very end, we cut to black and there's no songs, there's no music to accompany the credits. So you are essentially sitting in silence in that theater thinking, what did I just watch? What did I just experience? It immediately follows her breaking down in Igor's arms, and it is soul crushing, and thus concludes our time with Anora. We don't get the satisfaction of knowing what happens between her and Igor. We don't know what happens to her after that. We don't get any kind of real satisfaction beyond her calling him a pussy in front of his mom. I don't think that we always need to have that satisfaction of knowing what happens or the consequences of that event. The experience is the events that took place. The experience is seeing that moment where she breaks down and is finally getting to be soft in a world that expects her to be tough, in a world that laughs when she hits that hard Brooklyn accent and is going toe to toe with those henchmen. In the end, she's a person. She deserves a fairy tale, and we go through that heartbreak with her. There you have it. That is my review of Anora. It is a really special film. It is a really incredible experience watching it, and I'm really excited to see where else Mikey, Madison, and Sean Baker go from here. Truly the whole cast. They were all incredible. But let me know what you thought about Anora in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!